Hey, what's up, folks? It's your boy, NaptownBorn. Man, this is the 4th time I've attempted to make this video today. 3 other times I've been interrupted by wife and kids, so I'm just now getting around to it. I never thought it would take so much work just to get this video done. But, and on that note, I'm going to light another cigarette. Alright, Paul Williams. Paul Williams versus Sergio Martinez 2, the rematch. 2 things I'm sick of when it comes to talking about Paul Williams. First and foremost, a lot of people talking shit about Paul Williams and have been talking shit about Paul Williams for at least a year now. At least a year. And I'm talking before the fucking Martinez fight, that's what I'm saying. It's been at least a year people have been just steady talking shit about Paul Williams, and a lot of it is undeserved. Just because he was made out to be Superman and then we found out he wasn't Superman doesn't mean he's some weak link in boxing. I know that there is a lot of criticism that he deserves, but a lot of he don't. But that's just my opinion. And moving on to the second thing I'm sick of Paul Williams doing it to himself. You know what I mean? How many people will be able to, how many people will, he's giving people ammo to use against him. I mean, this 157-pound catch weight for a 160-pound middleweight title is doo-doo. Just total doo-doo. And I can't say if I'm a super fan of Paul Williams or not. I like the dude. I like watching him box. He's not my favorite boxer. I like watching him box though. But this kind of shit, I mean, even if he feels comfortable at 157, which he obviously does, otherwise if he felt comfortable with more weight, he'd just do it at 160. He obviously wants to try and hurt Martinez in some way, shape, or form. He wants to go into this fight with some sort of an advantage. And the dude's built skinny. He's built tall, but he's real skinny. So I'm guessing comfortable weight for him is probably something like 154, 157. I'm almost positive he's comfortable at 162. But if you're going to fight for a middleweight title, you're rematching the dude after a controversial win. You need to fight at the regular weight to make your point. Okay, now that those 2 things are out of the way, because Paul Williams kills himself when it comes to, being fan-friendly. He's got his fans. But then these other people that could be fans are talking shit about him because of the dumb shit that he does or says. Like, so you broadcast him from 147 to 160 saying you can fight anybody. But then you say you want to bump down to 147 and fight Pac and Mayweather when shit wasn't going to happen. If I was Pac Mayweather, I wouldn't take a fight neither, even if you could make the 147 weight. You're 6 foot tall, motherfucker. That's like a huge advantage against arguably the 2 pound for pound best at the moment. And I don't think he was ever going to get that fight with him, and I don't think a lot of people thought he was. I thought, he was running to a division where he wanted the money. No, I didn't really think anything other than that. Now, getting onto the fight and past the bullshit, I'm now spending about 4 minutes just on bullshit. Good thing YouTube allows longer than 10 minutes now. Anyway, so here's what I think's going to happen. I don't think the catch weight's going to affect much. It's a bitch move. It is. I'm going to call it like I see it, and that's a bitch move. But, give or take, man. I mean, I think they're both going to be pretty comfortable at 157. That I still think it's bullshit. I just can't get over the fact that it's at 157 instead of 160. But I'm going to have Paul Williams by unanimous decision on this one, based solely on the fact that they both were short-timed in training for each other the last time. And this time around, they're both going to be focused on each other. And while I see Martinez is maybe more technically gifted, I think the volume and the pressure is going to work for Paul Williams this time. I think they got each other's number as far as that's concerned. I think there's going to be moments when Martinez smacks Paul around a little bit for leaving himself open, because he does. leave himself open a lot. His defense is his offense, so if you can frustrate his offense, you're frustrating his whole game. I mean, if you can lower Paul Williams' punch output, you can beat Paul Williams. I don't think Paul Williams is going to let his volume go away. I think in the first fight we saw, Martinez cracked him, and it looked like Martinez was going to, just run away with the fight after a while. But then early on. And then after a while, you're like, Paul Williams gets the hang of it, gets back in the swing of it, realizes he's not in there with a chump like he thought he was. See, Paul Williams thought he was going to be fighting a chump, and I think that's one of the main differences from the first fight to the second fight, because they're both training for each other on short notice, a few weeks. So that argument is kind of moot to me. But one guy knew he was going in against a good boxer. The other guy thought he was going to go in and roll the other guy over. Paul Williams thought he was just going to roll Martinez over, and Martinez didn't let it happen. This time, I think there will be no excuses. If Paul Williams loses, he loses 100%, because I'm banking that Paul Williams was not 100% in that fight. Martinez wasn't 100% in that fight. I scored it 1 point to Paul Williams. I scored the first round a draw. They both knocked each other down. I don't give a fuck how it happened or how it looks. They both knocked each other down. I think both of them at 100%. Both of them come in there and play a perfect game. Paul Williams wins on points, because he's going to touch Martinez with more shots, and a lot of shots, and clean shots too. See, people act like Paul Williams wasn't hitting Martinez with shit because Paul Williams had to go to the hospital. Martinez went dancing. Well, some people have weaker structures, and Paul Williams may be that guy. He may not. It may be just an excuse, but irregardless, just whatever happens after the fight, no matter, I don't give a fuck if somebody's face looks fucked up or not. That doesn't mean they lost the fight. Paul Williams wasn't in there just pitter-pattering the whole time either. He was getting his clean shots off too. Now I want to talk, Paul Williams, we talk about him fucking up a lot, not using his height. And I go back and I watched the Paul Williams versus Antonio Margarito fight, and it looked to me like he used his height a little bit more because he had to. He had to use his jab. He had to stay on the outside, but then, he stayed just on the edge of the pocket with Margarito, and it was a beautiful fight. It was a great fight. I don't care what anybody says. That fight was great. I don't care if it's Margarito involved or not. The fight was good. Paul Williams won. And this is pre-Mosley, so if you think he had his shit loaded, then he had his shit loaded with Paul Williams, and then Paul Williams beat him. That right there is Paul Williams' best performance to date, in my opinion. I know he fucked Winky right up, you know what I mean, but his fight against Margarito was probably his best performance. To date, I'm expecting better. I expect him to stand up a little bit more and not try and take it to the inside every time, but let's face it, guys, he's a volume puncher, and he likes to move forward and move in while he's fighting. It's not going to change. I just think he could really own Martinez if he just stayed on the outside and used that ridiculously long reach for his height. If he would just use that shit properly, he could win big time. But all credit to Martinez, and I want to talk about Martinez too. I'm not dissing him. I think he's a great fighter. He's real. He's a real fighter. He's not fake. He's a good champion. Somebody we want as a champion. He went right from Paul Williams to Kelly Pavlik, and to me, I don't care how you think about Pavlik, that's still badass. He went from one of the best to the fucking middleweight championship and won. Now, let's talk about what happened in that fight. In that fight, Martinez started early, took over points early, and was basically looked like Pavlik wasn't going to have a chance. But then about the 4th, 5th round, Pavlik starts working back. And I think the only thing that kept Pavlik from making a great comeback in that fight, the only thing that kept him from making a great comeback was not enough volume. Now, of course, you can probably connect the dots there and see where I'm going with that. If Kelly Pavlik had been able to throw more when he had his chances, because he did have his chances, he had lots of chances. He caught Martinez with some right hands, but he didn't put the shit in him that he needed to put in him, and even if he did, Martinez took him. But I think PWill was making a comeback, and come the 9th round, it was a toss-up of who was going to win. If they kept fighting the way they were fighting, PWill was gaining momentum and winning rounds. Just using straight shots, jabs, and straight rights. I mean, dude was coming back on Martinez with simple, straight shots. But Martinez, being the quick puncher that he is and the precise puncher that he split him up. Split his face open. And that's all the credit to Martinez. I don't think that's a fluke. I think that's just the way Martinez punches fell. He was landing very, very flush. When you see Martinez hit Williams or you see Martinez hit PWill, they are flush shots that do something, that make somebody think, damn, this little motherfucker has some pop. And he does have some pop. He's not like a knockout artist. He's not going to KO you all the time. He's not going to run around knocking people out. But you're going to know when you get hit by Martinez. Now, I'm picking Paul Williams because I think Kelly PWill could have done it with more volume because he backed off after he got cut and he was making a comeback. If Paul Williams, even with little head movement, like PWill didn't have fucking head movement, Paul Williams doesn't have head movement, and not that great of footwork and poor defense, Martinez isn't active enough. And like I said, I'm not hating on Martinez. He could easily win this fight, and I could easily be wrong. To me, this is a pick'em fight, and I'm picking Paul Williams to win by unanimous decision, something like 8 rounds to 4 is what I'm looking for. It could easily be the other way, and they could easily floor each other, and then that would fuck the scorecards all up too. But I'm not looking for this to be as close as the first one because I think 100% for 100%. Going in at 157, I think Paul Williams has every tool he needs, and Martinez is going to be climbing up a mountain to beat Paul Williams. What I mean is he's going to be working from behind to come back. You know, I think he's going to have, you know, it's an intangible, but after losing on a crap, you think it's a crap decision because one scorecard was total crap, and it prevented him from getting a draw. A draw would have been more favorable for Martinez, and it should have been a draw. I think Paul Williams won, but with that scorecard, I say it just should have been a draw. I don't think Paul Williams is going to be looking to prove he can own Martinez. I think Paul Williams is just going to be looking to prove he can win. On the flip side, I think Martinez is looking to prove a little bit more than what he's already proven because I think he's coming to the end of his career. It's been a long, under-the-radar career, and I think, you know, he's not old. I mean, he's not fucking old and washed up yet. I'm just saying, you know, he's down to the last, what, 4 or 5 years of real boxing, you know what I mean? That's how it goes. And I think he's looking to put these exclamation points on his record. And if Martinez walks into Paul for the majority of the fight, you might see Martinez hit the floor more than once. But I'm going with they're going to tag each other. It's going to be a good fight. Not as great as the first one, but Paul Williams is going to clearly win. And as it's gotten dark as I've done my video, y'all are probably losing the sight and then 13 and a half minutes into this. But I really wanted to talk about this fight. I'm really excited about it. I'm sorry about the catch weight. I'm getting tired of catch weights. No matter who it is, I'm getting tired of them. Just fight at the weight. And if you don't want to make that weight, come in at the weight you feel comfortable. I don't understand what's so fucking wrong with that. But anyways, this is NaptownBorn. Deuces.